Thanks, Angie, for sharing that. I love Mark Nepo. Wow, that last line. How often do we all rehearse this moment? How often do we rehearse this moment? Putting off love, truth, joy, and even God, crying out with our yeah buts, right? How often do we do that? Quite often. Only now, only right here. What can we do with this moment, with this life, with this day? So I woke up this morning and realized I was right back in that that place that I talked about months ago, where some things were going on, and I said I found myself reaching for the phone before I tuned in to do my morning prayers and feel out how I'm feeling with my day. You see, I before I even open my eyes, I pray. I'm laying there, I'm realizing I'm coming out of my sleep state, and I'm like, oh yes, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day. But lately, this past week anyway, with the heightened unrest in our country and specifically our city as well, there's a lot going on, right? We've been working with clergy and with city officials to help, and I'll talk more about that later, to help with the climate here in Charlotte, and so working late at night and texting and working with clergy, and we're on the WhatsApp, and there's like 60 messages coming through all the time. And so I immediately reached for the phone, and I thought, no, reach for the feeling, not the phone. So I closed my eyes. I was like, reach for the feeling, not the phone. I reached for the feeling. I reached for the feeling that is, I identify with the living spirit of truth moving through me. I live my life with an open heart. I open my mind and remind myself that I'm a vessel for divine love. This is all with my eyes closed, reminding myself in this space to live in that place. In my mind and my heart, I am letting mankind return to God kind. And that's a quote from John Randolph Price. I'm going to get more into that in a moment too. But in my mind and my heart, I allow mankind to return to God kind. I am the light. We are the light. And I breathed into it. I was like, I am the light. We are the light. I feel the light of love moving through me. I breathe into this. Thank you, God, for this day. Thank you, God, for my life. Yay, it's Sunday. Right? Before reaching for the phone, I reach for the feeling. I reach for the feeling that I want to step into and live from in my day. You see, we can't lose sight. We can't lose sight of the God in one another. We can't lose sight of the God in one another. John Randolph Price, in this beautiful reading that we're going to share today, he said, I see only the Spirit of God in every soul, in every man, woman, and child on earth, and I say to you, I love you. I see only the Spirit of God in every man, woman, and child on earth, and I say, I love you. I allow mankind to return to God kind within me. Now, I get that it's not always easy. Man, you know, even Poppy went gray this week. And for those of you who don't know, my wife, that's a nickname that one of her best friends gave her a while back. Elder Erica down in Savannah, she calls her Princess Poppy from the Trolls, you know, the one that's always happy and the happiest of the happy. And with all this stuff that we've been doing, and really in the thick of things, we were both feeling really overwhelmed. We had spent Tuesday night uptown marching with people in a peaceful protest so that folks could have their voices heard. And the minute we got home and sat on the couch and looked at our phone, something had just happened that was just not acceptable in our city and period, and was very, very disheartening and very upsetting. And we were both feeling just really overwhelmed. She ended up being on the phone with Erica a little bit later, and well, it was like 2 a.m. And finally Erica said, oh, Poppy's gone gray. You need to go to bed right now. Poppy's gone gray. And that's what when the Trolls lose their light, you know, they go from that pink to in Poppy's case, to gray. And Poppy had gone gray. We both had, with everything that went on with the excessive excessive use of force that they're now investigating here in Charlotte. Anyway, so it was very. We had a clergy friend that was pepper sprayed in the face after we were asked to be out there and be a peaceful presence, which we wanted to do, and we are glad that we were doing that. It's just what I said in an interview this week to one of the news outlets was, if they're gonna, if a person with a robe, a clergy robe on, is getting pepper sprayed in the face, imagine when it's a white man with a clergy robe on getting pepper sprayed in the face. Imagine what it's like for our brothers and sisters who are black out there. We have to make a difference. We have to do this differently, Charlotte. And so the next day, I'm so proud of our clergy here in Charlotte from all walks and all beliefs. We started out with, I think, maybe 25 or 30 clergy. We ended up with 100 clergy signing a letter to the mayor, to the city officials, to the police chief saying, no more. This is not the way we do things here in Charlotte. We're calling for a de-escalation. And so all of this stuff going on, right? And Poppy's going dark. And and I asked her later, I was like, okay, so how did Poppy get her color back? And what was the key for you? What helped you? And she said, I was just feeling so overwhelmed and like nothing we were doing was making a difference. And I'm sure we're not the only ones to feel that, right? Exactly. And she said, so I realized though that I had to do what Erica said and just stop, quit. How many times do we feel like we just don't know what to do? And I talked last week about the overwhelm, and sometimes we just need to stop, take a step back, recenter, ground. She went outside and was walking barefoot in the yard in the middle of the night to ground, right? So to recenter ourselves, to ground, and to get back to love, get back to the center, get back to knowing that I see only the Spirit of God in every soul and every man, woman, and child on earth. And I say, I love you. Can't lose sight of the living Spirit within. And so for me, I went out and was staring at the butterfly bush. Thank you, Kathleen, for the beautiful gift of the butterfly bush last year. That is so beautifully blooming now, I'm happy to say. And I just stood there. And I took pictures from this angle, I took pictures from that angle. I was like, oh, let's do a portrait angle of the butterfly bush. Whatever it takes, right, to get back to the beauty, get right back to the grounding, to stop, recenter. Don't fall into a feeling of separate from source, separate from any of our brothers and sisters on this planet, going back to this place of love, but yet standing in a place of there are things happening in our country that we can't allow to go unchecked. We have to stand up. We've talked about that so much in our community. Well, now we really are getting the opportunity here in Charlotte and in the world to stand up. And just yesterday, I read an article of a 17-year-old young black man in Gastonia. We have some of our members are from Gastonia. And for those of you who don't know, that's only a few minutes outside of the Charlotte city limits. And this young man, 17 years old, bagging groceries, I believe it was. He was a clerk of some sort. And two incidences while he was working. The first one was a man, when he was getting his change back from this young man, snickered under his breath and then said, I just bought some ammo for your kind. Are you kidding me? And then right after that, a woman grabbed her groceries and said, no, don't touch my groceries with your gas hands from all that looting. We have to do better. We have to do better, and we are doing better. I'm seeing so much right now of people that have been silent for far too long, that people that I know that are saying, no, this is not okay. It's not okay to treat others this way. It's not okay. And we have to be that voice when the black voices are not being heard. And we're doing that now. I'm seeing more and more and more of that. We are, as clergy here in Charlotte, working to even expand beyond the ones that we've been working with in interfaith for so long, and now have reached out to those even beyond our comfort zones of the ones we know that have worked with us and have agreed with working with interfaith and said, you know what, this is something we all agree on. We may not agree on a few other things, but we all agree on this as the clergy here in this city, and we're standing up and making a difference. I see people on Facebook and I hear people in conversations that are stopping people in their tracks and saying, look, no, you don't understand. We're not saying that white privilege means that you lived a life that was never ever had a challenge or any obstacle to overcome. We're saying that those obstacles didn't happen because of the color of your skin. Let's let down our defenses. Let's let down our defenses and let love in so that love can come back out. Lean into the conversations and let love in so that it can come back out. So that Poppy and all the rest of the poppies out there don't go gray, right? We're stopping, resting, recentering, refocusing, and coming from love. Stop, rest, recenter, refocus, come from love as often as you have to. And I've seen some beautiful displays of that, conversations where people are not agreeing and yet they're lovingly, I've seen some that weren't so loving too, that was part of Poppy's grayness, but people being mean to someone as sweet as her on Facebook is amazing, but look at what else we're dealing with, so of course we're experiencing that. Anyway, I've seen some people having some really difficult conversations and doing it with such finesse and grace and love, and not giving up on someone because they don't get it or because they don't see it or because they're not open to being as vigilant about it as maybe this other person is. And then I'm seeing these conversations where people are lovingly engaging as well as the ones that are not so loving. And so I'm choosing to know and not lose sight of the Spirit of God in every single person, even when it's dim, even when it's not fully coming to the surface. I'm choosing to look and recognize the good news too. I've had some really awesome experiences. One of them would be my new friend that I just made marching the streets of Uptown on Wednesday. After all this heightened intensity went down on Tuesday night, we were back out there on Wednesday, and I met this new person who I'm sure is going to be a dear friend. I adore her already. Her name is Nichelle Thompson, and she is something else. So we're walking, and she's like, "Look at God." She said, "Look at God." I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" I had on my clergy stole, which is white, and it's easy to see even in the dark. And on one side of her, and on the other side was my friend Rodney Sadler, Reverend Rodney Sadler. And so she's sandwiched between two clergy, and she said, "Look at God." I said, "Lord God, help me, because tonight I don't care what anybody else does. I know what I'm going to do," meaning I'm going to stay peaceful. I know what I'm going to do. And then look at God showing off. I don't know if she said showing off, but she said, "Look at God, put me between two people, two of his people, two clergy." And I said, "Oh, we're supposed to keep an eye on you." And but you know what? She said, "You were here for me tonight. You were here. God sent you for me." And I was thinking, I've been thinking about it ever since. She was there for me. This woman is funny. She's spiritual. She's courageous. And she lifted my heart. I was feeling sad, and I was feeling a little anxious, I'll be honest, after what had just happened the night before. And here we are in a situation looking much similar because of the way that the traffic had gone into a corridor. And I know we had just met right before that. And all of a sudden, here is this beautiful light of love making me laugh. And even grabbing my backpack at one point when I started to go in a direction, she goes, "No, girl, don't do that. That's not safe to go that way. Come back." Grab me by the backpack, pull me back. So she lifted me up, and I'm so grateful. And I know, and actually I've asked her to speak for our community because she's something else. She is in seminary right now. I believe it's Primitive Baptist, I'm not sure, Baptist though, and she's in seminary, and she's just a beautiful light of love, and I can't wait for you to get to know her. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at as my takeaway of good this week. Takeaway of good, in addition to my butterfly bush blooming. My takeaway of good, another one would be the activist hearts that are awakening. People that I wouldn't really have guessed maybe that I've seen stand up and speak up, and that's been beautiful. Also, the clergy letter that I referenced, bringing from what started with 20 or 25 clergy has now grown into over 100 clergy coming together and saying, reaching out to city officials and saying, we have to do things differently. We have to de-escalate. We have to do what we can to de-escalate things. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and make some policy changes. And so I'm seeing the good. And I'm also recognizing that how important it is for our light to shine, how important it is for us to live in that place of letting our light shine regardless, keep shining, keep shining, keep shining. And yet I remember what Terry Ann, one of our chaplains, what she shared this week from a Jeff Foster reading. He's a wonderful author and teacher that I love very much. And I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to the effect of, remember that your powerful light is illuminating to some and blindingly uncomfortable and even disorienting to others. So we're at different spectrums, right? We're at different ends of the spectrum here with what we're opening our eyes to, black, white, brown, all of us. What we're opening our eyes to and what we're realizing is maybe ours to do or say, we're in different places with that. And to be understanding when we may be shining a bright light and thinking, why can't you see my bright light? Why can't you share my bright light? Well, it may be blinding where someone else is. So we have patience, but we keep shining. We have patience, but we keep shining, and we keep shining, and we keep living as though, acting as so, living as though, acting as so, living as though it's already so, acting as if it's already so, taking the action. You see, this is our call to action, but it's also, most importantly, in consciousness, we cannot forget how important, how vital the work in consciousness is, to live as though, act as so. But we can't forget the inner work that comes with that. Living as though, acting as so. You know, Rumi, the Sufi mystic and saint Rumi, in our Science of Mind magazine, just the other day, he said, the quote was, "Live life as if everything is rigged in your favor." I think it's been maybe a couple of weeks since that reading. It was sometime in May. Live life as if everything is rigged in your favor. And I read that quote and I was like, oh, that's my next talk. I'm going to write a talk about how we live as so and act as so. We live as though and act as so. I'm going to do a talk about that. And then all this upheaval happened and I thought, oh, wow. No one's going to want to hear right now how live life as if everything is rigged in your favor. But we're talking about the work in consciousness. We're talking about the work in consciousness. We're not turning a blind eye to what's not feeling like favor, not what is not in favor. It's not because favor is anything close to what you feel at this moment, but because at the fundamental level, our consciousness can make it so. With every thought and feeling, we contribute to the healing. With every thought and feeling, we contribute to the healing. Get that? With every thought and every feeling, I'll claim it. I contribute to the healing. With every thought and every feeling, I contribute to the healing. That's what we're saying, is to stay in that place where we don't separate. We don't give up on the divine moving through us. We don't give up on those brothers and sisters among us who we're like, oh, okay, the divine's in there somewhere. Why have they hidden it so well? You know, we don't give up. We keep looking and know that with every thought and every feeling, I contribute to the healing. We need each other now more than we ever have. We need each other. I remember every time I say we need each other, I think of the Hezekiah Walker song that I love so much. I need you, you need me. We're all a part of God's body. So here I was in 2013 at the Franciscan Renewal Center in Scottsdale, Arizona. Beautiful, beautiful place. I highly recommend you check it out if you're ever out there. Beautiful place, beautiful people. I was attending a New Thought conference for the affiliated New Thought Network and with the affiliated New Thought Network, and I was going through a very, very dark night of my soul. I was in a really sad and lonely and broken place. And the whole week, all I could do was cry and go to that little chapel. There's a little chapel that says, "Peace, be still." And you go in there and it's tiny. It's like a living room. And it's so sacred. You can feel the prayer making the hair on your neck stand up. And I would pray and I would cry and I would sing. And I would pray and I would cry and I would sing. And I would go listen to talks and then I would leave and go to that little chapel and I would pray and I would cry and I would sing. And one night they had a candlelit labyrinth walk. So we're out in the desert. There's this huge labyrinth with made of stones. It's beautiful. And it's completely dark. The only light is someone holding a corner at the four corners, the four directions. The only light. And so I waited because I had finished up with my pray, sing, cry in the chapel. I was waiting. I wanted to be later because I didn't really want to see anyone. I was just hurting and didn't want to have to see anyone and pretend I wasn't hurting. So I went late. And I walked into the labyrinth and I'm walking. Now, if you've ever walked a labyrinth, you know it just takes you into the center of your being, especially one this big and under the full moon in the dark in the desert by four people holding candles. It was magic. But I was still hurting. I was still alone. I was still scared. And then in the middle of this labyrinth, I get to the middle and I do my prayers and I release and I'm like, I surrender. And I start coming back out. And I hear this beautiful, booming, deep, gorgeous voice singing, I need you, you need me. We're all a part of God's body. And I started to sob. I couldn't tell where it was coming from. It was dark. And I had a ways to go to get back out of the labyrinth. And I'm sobbing. And I get back out and I follow the voice. And there is my friend, Reverend, she's my friend now. At that moment, I didn't know who she was, but I made sure I got to know. My friend, Reverend Renee Morgan Brooks, sitting on this bench under this tree in the complete dark, singing for those of us walking the labyrinth. I felt held and hugged by God like not many times in my life, thanks to her. And I have never forgotten it. We all need each other. We need each other to lift one another up, especially in these times, right? Especially. And so I go back to that Science of Mind reading just the other day where we're talking about Rumi, live life as though it's rigged in your favor. Tall order. And he goes on in that particular reading that day by Reverend David Alt. He's the one that compiled it, and he goes on to quote one of my another favorite treasure, and that's Neville Goddard, who said that getting into the spirit of the feeling, that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about living as if life is rigged in your favor, assuming that, getting into that feeling, remember, every thought and feeling I contribute to the healing. So Neville said, getting into the spirit of the feeling is assuming the character and the actions of the state of being you desire. Getting into the spirit of the feeling, assuming the character and the actions of the desire, the state of being that you desire. How would it feel if it were already so? That's our work right now. That is our call to action in consciousness, is to get into the feeling and the thinking every single time, even though it takes stop, rest, recenter, refocus, which includes prayer meditation for me, and getting into the love and operating from there. How do we want to feel? How do we want our world to feel? And taking the time to do that in consciousness is paramount right now. It's so, so vital. But I don't know about you. I could use a little help with that. I could use a little help with that too. So I reach out to prayer partners. I reach out to those that lift me up. And during this time, when I'm thinking, I need those people that lift me up, I need those Nichelle Thompsons of the world, I need those Reverend Renee Morgan Brookses of the world. Wait, hey, you know what? With this new wonderful technology that we have, why don't I just invite my dear friend, Reverend Renee Morgan Brooks, to join us this morning from Arizona. So thanks to technology, she will be sharing a very moving and meaningful reading that is a call to action in consciousness. A call to action in consciousness shared by my dear friend, Reverend Renee Morgan Brooks. Please welcome from Arizona.
Good morning, Charlotte family. Oh my goodness, what a joy and a privilege it is to be with you. We are so very thankful that Divine Mind has seen itself to move through to create this kind of technology so we can be a little bit closer together when we appear to be further apart, until we can be in each other in the flesh. Blessings to you this day, my friends. So the beloved Christy has asked me to share with you the World Healing Meditation by John Randolph Price. Some of you may remember in '87, it was the centerpiece of the harmonic convergence. Please know that it is a deep honor for me to do so. So in this process, I will speak the meditation. You may hear me rattle pages because it's long, but it's potent. And it gives us a good idea of where we can be and really where we're going. So as I speak these words, see if you can see what he saw, and most of all, what he felt. So let us begin. We'll take 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And just relax and let the chair hold you. Last, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Eheye Asher, Eheye. I am that I am. Often interpreted as I am what I shall be. We know that Aramaic was the language of Yeshua. And so I will now speak before the meditation, the Aramaic Lord's Prayer. It is said that if you can speak the words of the prophet, it gives you access to the mind from whence those words came. May this be our reality today. Abun de bishmaya nit kadesh shmuk. Tete malkutach. Nechwe sivyana aikana de bashmaya af ba'arach. Havlan lakma. De sun kenan yomana. Washbuklan halben waktachin. Aikana de dafen an chokin al hayubain. Wela tachlan denisina. Ila patsan membish amatul de la hemalkuta. Wahaila watashbukta lealam. Almin. Amen. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Now is the time of the new beginning. I am a co-creator with God, and it is a new heaven that comes as the goodwill of God is expressed on earth through me. It is the kingdom of light, love, peace, joy, and understanding, and I am doing my part to reveal its reality. I begin with me. I am a living soul, and the Spirit of God dwells in me as me. I and the Father, Mother, God are one. And all that the Father, Mother, God has is mine. For in truth, I am the Christ of God. And what is true of me is true of everyone. For God is all, and all is God. I see only the Spirit of God in every soul. And to every man, woman, and child on earth, I say, I love you, for you are me. You are my holy self. I now open my heart and let the pure essence of unconditional love flow out. I see it as a golden light radiating from the center of my being, and I feel its divine vibration in and through me, above and below me. I am one with the light. I am filled with the light. I am illumined by the light. I am the light of the world. With purpose of mind, I send forth the light. And let the radiance go before me to join the other lights. I know This is happening all over the world. I see the merging lights. There is now one light, and we are the light of the world. The one light of love, peace, joy, and understanding is moving. It flows across the face of the earth, touching and illuminating every soul in the shadow of the illusion. And where there was darkness, there is now the light of reality. And the radiance grows, permeating, saturating every form of life. There is only the one perfect life now. And all the kingdoms of the earth respond, and the planet is alive with light and love. There is total oneness, and in this oneness, we speak the word. Let the sense of separation be dissolved. Let mankind be returned to Godkind. Let peace flow forth in every heart. Let forgiveness reign in every soul, and let understanding be the common bond. And now, from the light of the world, the one power and presence of the universe responds. The activity of God is healing and harmonizing planet Earth. Omnipotence is made manifest. I am seeing the salvation of the planet before my very eyes. As all false beliefs and error patterns are dissolved, the sense of separation is no more. The healing has taken place, and the world is restored to sanity. This is the beginning of peace on earth and goodwill to all, as love flows forth from every heart. Forgiveness reigns in every soul, and all hearts and minds are one in perfect understanding. It is done, and it is so, and so